Right, now many of you will know that I've got a set of irons that I got early part of this year, and I'm pretty pleased with them, but in recent months there's been two releases that have started to question, have I got the right clubs in the bag? And they are, the Taylormade P790 was one of them, and the Mizuno HMB MP20s was the other. Today I'm going to test P790s 2019 against my very own PXG 0211s. I'll be as honest as ever. Hands of the average golfer, hit some balls, 5 iron, 7 iron, 9 iron, let's see who comes out on top. Right, okay, let's just get straight into this one, and I think we'll start with, as with most reviews do, we'll talk about looks. Now let's talk about, first of all, the fact that if anyone's not been on the golf planet for quite some time, these are both what they call hollow head constructions, and they're filled with a foam of sorts. So the way these things are put together, I would say very, very similar. In this club, and that club being a P790, there's a suggestion that there's a forged face. I think I wouldn't class this as a forged club, but this is well and truly a cast club, and that's the 0211. So a lot of similarities, but we're going to look at the little kind of nuances, the slight differences, the bits that might make you sway one way or the other when you're considering, if you are considering buying either of these two sets of irons. So, like I said, get straight into looks. Now then, shelf appeal. For me, I'm a big fan of the look of PXG kit in general. And one of the things in terms of why I got these clubs was, yeah, I love the look of them. But I'm also a massive fan of the P790, and I like what they've done in terms of the revised version in terms of 2019. I like a bit of high gloss chrome. So for me, a little bit shiny finish on the P790 probably has me swayed in their direction. But there's not a great deal to separate them in looks, and like I said, it's a very, very personal thing. I think where the differences start is when you start to put club behind the ball and look at them at address. And let me, again, be perfectly honest with you. I'd not looked at these clubs until we came in here about half an hour ago, and myself and somebody else who works here were quite surprised actually at the difference when I pointed out just how much different they are at address, and it's quite big. Look at the images I've got in front of you now. Don't forget, we've got 7 iron. The biggest difference is overall profile. It's a longer profile heel to toe on the PXG, but the top line on the P790 looks that much thicker. So it's kind of like a shorter, stubbier club in the P790, but in certainly heel to toe, it's a lot longer in the 0211s. But there's also another major difference for me, and it's offset. One of the things that the 2019 version of the Taylormade club, one thing they did and claimed was that they reduced offset. And I think it's very visible here that there is a lot more offset at address on the 0211s, and again, not something that I'd noticed before, but when I put these two clubs together, and it's the same for obviously the 9 iron, and again notice it into the 5 iron, they're the 3 clubs I've got on both sets, and there's quite a big difference. So I think for me it's a tough one, this, because I think I prefer the slightly less offset of the P790, but I prefer the thinner top line of the 0211. So I'm going to leave that one up to you. I'm sort of, do you know what the perfect scenario would be? For me, something in between the two. So less offset on the 211 and a shorter heel to toe on the 211. And obviously that's the reverse of what I would say about the P790. That top line does look particularly thick. It does look a little bit stubby. So yeah. A tough one. Not a lot to split these in terms of look. So let's get hitting some golf balls. On camera, I'm going to hit I'm going to hit the 7 iron in both clubs. What I'm going to do off camera, I'll gather data on 9 iron, 7 iron, 5 iron, and then I'll give you my verdict. Right, where should we go? I know what they do, and I've just been hitting them off camera as a bit of a warm-up. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to hit some of P790s to start with, and then I'm going to switch straight into the 211 and see if there's an immediate difference that I can pick up on. I've got to say, I mean, they sit very nice at address, and in terms of performance, There's nothing wrong with that. That's bullet straight and straight out the middle. In terms of performance, on the initial review, I tested these, and I've tested both clubs, obviously, in terms of dry ball data and out on the course. So there's a detailed review on both these clubs on the channel. The one thing I would say, which is the slight negative about the P790s, is where their feel is massively improved. I've hit two really solid balls there. It's this idea that it's a forged iron. It's a forged face, but in terms of noise, it's still a long way short of being what I would consider to be a forged club. But I would say acoustics in here are slightly louder than what I found out on the course. But in terms of performance, I think it's a fantastic club. I really do. I've hit quite a few balls with the P790, and I know the feedback they get in here at 4Golf. It's a big selling club, and in terms of performance, I ain't gonna hit no more balls in terms of giving you a reaction, because it'll carry on being much of the same. It's very nice. But let me just switch back over and hit the, I'm gonna have a look at the sole as well of these, width of sole, which is something, the idea of the profile and the sort of length heel to toe, like I said, it's not something I'd picked up on previously. And for some people, I think it could be a negative, and for others, a positive. That's very much down to kind of what you like at a dress, and also where you get your confidence from. This looks like I said, overall, a bigger club with a thinner top line. They've sort of both got, like I said, very much different things going on. That wasn't as good a strike as what I've hit on the first two shots of the Taylormade club, so we'll give this one another go. But even from that, there's one thing that is noticeably different and sticks out and has stuck out. Let's see if we can get a better shot before I comment on it. Again, slightly down the left. Isn't it marvellous? Not as good as shots with my own clubs with the camera switched on. The irony. Let's try one more. There you go. That's a shot. And I don't know whether you can notice even from the three shots that I've played, even though the two of them were nowhere near as good, and I'm going to hit one more while this camera's on, there's a noticeable difference in sound. A huge difference in sound. And I think that I've said this, I've remained consistent with my opinion of what PXG did with this 211 iron. It's by far the best feeling, sounding cast club that I have personally tried. And I think yet again, when you put it up against in this head-to-head and switch directly from one iron to another, it's very noticeable again. And for me, it's a massive deal. I said it in the original review of these things. I don't know how PXG have done this. I don't know how they've achieved the soft feel. Again, much better. And again, I mentioned feedback of what a good selling club the P790 here is at 4Golf. And don't forget, just to remind, I don't work here, by the way, so I don't sell these clubs. It makes no odds to me. But just general overall customer feedback and what the lads here try. Again, the massive big plus everybody comments on is about the feel of this 211. So again, I don't know how much you can pick up on the sound, but it's a big difference. And for some golfers, that would make absolutely no difference whatsoever. For me, it's quite a big deal. Who's winning at the moment? I don't know. It is really not a lot to split them. But I'm going to go and start hitting some golf balls. I'm going to collect some data, and we'll see what happens in terms, because they're very similar in terms of loft as well. And let's see where the differences lie, if any, in terms of performance. Right, could have done with a neutral corner really, couldn't I? Callaway in the background, but Taylormade are making a sneaky peek there. Anyway, try and get through these numbers. I've tried to simplify this as simple as possible in terms of my assessment. Overall assessment in the numbers, there's not a huge deal to split, but let me throw these numbers up, which I think are key. So 9 iron versus 9 iron. Taylormade 112 ball speed, 7.6 spin. 150 overall carry. 9 iron on the PXG, 109 in terms of ball speed, 6.7. We had one in there at 5.8, which really dropped that out. 149 carry, so a yard difference in carry, a little bit difference in spin. 7 iron, Taylormade 119 ball speed, 5.4 spin, 170 carry. PXG 790 122 ball speed, 6.350 spin, 170 carry. Bit better spin this time on the 7 iron, and this is all down to variables in strike of an average golfer. I don't think there's anything splitting these right now. 5 iron 130 ball speed on TM, 5.2 spin, which is incredibly high for some reason, 188 carry. 5 iron PXG 127 ball speed, 4.778 spin, 186 carry. I mean, there's literally nothing to split those two. It's worth noting that actually my own set of PXG irons are ½ inch longer in terms of shaft length. So probably you would say in terms of distance performance off the club face, there might be, arguably you would have expected it to be a little bit longer. It's probably very, very similar, if anything, a yard shorter per club. But there is nothing to split these whatsoever. The only variables that are in there, I personally think, are down to the consistency of strike from me. And I think if we redid that test again, I hit the same amount of balls, which I ain't going to do because it's quite tiring. But if I was to do that, I think there's every chance that if we did it again, the numbers would sway the other way and exactly the same things would change. I honestly don't think there's very little to split them. Slightly lazy of me, but I will throw them up in front of you now. I don't know the lofts. What I do know, the loft on the 7 irons is identical. I don't know the lofts on the other irons, and like I said, that's a bit lazy and poor preparation from me. But I think the idea is simple, really. A head-to-head is always going to be, it's a slightly, you can be slightly sceptical about a head-to-head. I always am. It's largely down to the performance a lot of the time between one club and the other, but in this instance, I hit everything what I would expect to do. Some left, some right, the odd one down the middle. I think the point is these are two of the best irons, I think, for average golfers that are out in the marketplace right now. I said at the beginning, chuck the Mizuno HMB MP20s in there, and I think you've got 3 sets of irons, which for me have been real star performance. And like I said, at my level, at average, at a number of levels, to be quite honest with you, a number of different handicaps, a number of different swing speeds, fitted correctly, I think that you can't go wrong with any of these clubs. The thing again, and let's not shy away from the price situation, we all know that the TM product and the Mizuno product took a bit of a hike in price, so they're much more in line with each other now. But don't forget, the PXG is still the premium product in terms of price per club, so there's a big difference there. For a lot of people, you would want to pay that extra money for what I'm going to say is the only difference for me. I think in terms of offset, I would prefer less on the PXG. I prefer less top line that I see on the TM, so a mix of those two would be ideal. I like a bit of shiny chrome, so I'd prefer that on the TM than the satin finish of the PXGs. But you know, you're splitting hairs. The one big difference is feel. And feel in terms of what I like, not what you like, what I like. And that's the big thing for me. There's unbelievable feel and responsiveness into their hands. And for me, that's the major tick in the box why I would prefer the PXGs. And it's a big deal. For a lot of people, it would make no difference. And like I said, would you want to pay that extra premium price for that extra sound and feel? Maybe not, if it's not your thing. Like I said, it's a tough one to split and one I can't win because they're my irons versus effectively another set of irons. But all I would say, I'm perfectly happy with where I'm sat. I'm happy to that I've got the irons that I like for my game. But having said that, if you said to me, game the Taylormade P790s, I'd gladly all day long. So it's a complete sit on the fence job, and you've just voided yourself of putting yourself out there. But it's hard to split them. Anyway. It's late on Saturday evening and I think it's time I packed in. I'm going on a big trip tomorrow morning. I'll see you all very soon and there's plenty more to come. Thank you for watching, comments down below, and like I said, enjoy your weekend. See this on Tuesday, so it'll be next weekend. See you later.